Aloha, movie nerds, dorks, and weirdos. I'm Matthew Salanoa, and welcome to another Action Movies Mini Lessons podcast. I didn't produce any episodes this week. I actually got a gig. I've been working, so I just wanted to make a little video it's both a mini lesson that's in support of 28 Years Later, which comes out today, and also is another lesson for you young filmmakers, especially young directors. That's who I'm really speaking to with this podcast, and really every podcast I've made on my YouTube channel. It may be a little bit boring, but learning is sometimes not that fun. But I just really want to celebrate the things that we can learn from other directors and why they made certain choices. So for today's mini lesson, I'm talking about 28 Days Later. Everyone who's seen that movie and loves that movie, I think most people will talk about the fact, if you know that that movie was shot digitally, you'll talk about the fact that it gave it a really gritty, real look. You feel like you're there. And if you look at the history of horror pictures, that a lot of horror movies, they're very low budget. They look very gritty and real and handmade, and that's part of the tension that gives us, that makes us love the movie. I personally love 28 Days Later. It's one of my favorite zombie pictures, even though they're technically the infected. It's zombies, man. So I absolutely adore this movie. Danny Boyle's an incredible filmmaker. I saw Train Spotting and The Beach. I haven't seen and Sunshine. I've seen a handful of his movies, but that's about it. But I'm very excited for 28 Years Later. But I want to get very practical. So this mini lesson is not just for this particular movie, but it's a preview of episodes I'm working on. I'm trying to plan out the next few episodes and make it just a little bit more practical and less heady and less blah, 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 blah. But so this is a little preview of an episode that'll be coming out in the future for Action Movie Storytelling Through Action, where I want to talk about one of the major reasons digital was a choice for Danny Boyle. You may have already seen it in interviews if you watched it, and if you've seen the DVD and you watch those special features, then you already know this information. But for those of you who don't know this, for those of you who are like, wow, it's so cool that he's shooting on cell phones this time around, well, there's a reason to shoot like that. And the major reason that shooting digitally was a benefit on 28 Days Later was, that whole opening sequence in the movie where Cillian Murphy, he wakes up in the hospital and then he's walking down the streets of London and there's nobody around, right? It looks very abandoned, and it's part of the huge tension. It's a huge sequence of tension and discomfort when he's walking around and seeing there's just like one car in the street, there's sort of trash everywhere, and he finds this whole wall of missing people signs, and it's in a newspaper saying evacuations. It's very clear that something terrible has happened, and he doesn't know where everyone went. And this incredible sequence could not be done at the time without digital technology. So, and there was a philosophy at the time that Christopher Nolan still carries, that some filmmakers still carry, that film should be shot on film. And not to say that they are completely refuting the benefits of digital, it's just that that's their philosophy. It's the old school philosophy. But with Danny Boyle, if he didn't shoot digitally, he could have never shot those sequences in London. There's a practical reason for it. If you shoot on film, which is it's requires emulsion, it requires exposure. What a film camera is a big cumbersome device that's very loud, that you have to specifically light everything for, that regular audience members will never appreciate. When you see a movie shot on film, how many lights you need, how many flags you need, that you can set up an entire scenario to make sure people are lit properly from both a distance and when they get closer. And there's so much measurement, there's so much equipment and technology that's needed to make a film look good. And yeah, going to film school, I personally know it takes literally hours to set up a single shot, especially if you're new. And even the best cinematographers can take at least an hour to set something up. This is one of the beautiful things about Blade 2 I used to talk about, was that that particular cinematographer, Gabriel Berenstein, I believe, was one thing Del Toro celebrated him on is that he could do setups within 15 minutes, which is incredibly fast. So, how fast you shoot is so dependent on all these lighting things that you need to do, right? So, and I can't even describe to you all the equipment that would be needed. There's a thing called a flag, which is not really a flag. It's a black tarp, basically, that's on a rigid shape fixed into a stand, and you might need a flag, or you might need a diffusion, which is, as it sounds, a diffused transparency. You might need like 100 of those for a decent shot on film. But on digital, you just turn it on. You can adjust the light setting and do a little color correction, and you're all ready to shoot. So when it came to shooting the London sequences, basically Danny Boyle's deal was with the London film agency. They were like, look, you can shoot here, but we can only give you 15 minutes. All of those locations had to be shot within 15 to 20 minutes because of what Danny Boyle wanted and what he wanted to do. It's like, look, you can get in there, you can shoot for 15 minutes, and then you got to get out because we can't have your film blocking up the roads. If you block up the roads and block up traffic, that's not going to be good for business for everybody else. And so the choice to shoot digital, although aesthetically very interesting and provided a different experience for the audience, was hugely important for, hey, you got to rush in, get your production design slapped up on there. Then you got to get Cillian Murphy walking around like, oh my God, where am I? And you have to overturn a bus and all this stuff, all these production design. It's sparse for a reason. There's a reason why one shot just has a bus on its side, why one shot just has a single car in the middle of the road, why one shot will have trash, while another shot will have, because in each of these shots are different parts of London, and they had to shoot so quickly to get in and out of there in order to not be kicked out and in order to finish their day. So it's a very impressive piece of coordination, directing, to get your shots, but also have all your production crew get everything done that you need so quickly within a 15 to 20 minute window. That's incredibly fast for a movie. So that's the practical reason that they shot digitally. And what I love is if you see Robert Rodriguez, he talks a lot about, he's been coming out in podcasts a lot, he was on Joe Rogan, and he talks a lot about the benefits of shooting digitally and how he's able to do the work of an entire film crew essentially by himself with the power of digital technology. And that's why we were able to get Sin City. He didn't need 600 guys working out the visual effects and the math. He just did some of his own homework. He's already comfortable with working with digital technology. He also likes to shoot quickly, and that's the reason that we have Sin City, is because you don't need to hire $100 million worth of people and all these technologists to figure out how to do a black and white movie with a bandage that's lit up. One guy can do it with a digital camera as long as he knows what he's doing, and that's the pioneer of everything that we're playing with on TikTok now. So I just wanted a huge shout out to Danny Boyle and the crew of 28 Days Later. What a fantastic movie. And I just want to shout out to just an important lesson for young filmmakers, people who want to be directors. There's reasons things are chosen, and it's not just aesthetic. It's not just for, oh, the audience will think it looks cool. You have to think practically why you're doing these different things. So this is today's lesson. This is this week's video for action movies. Storytelling through action, the mini lessons. I hope you liked it, and hopefully I'll see you next time. So thank you very much. Go check out 28 Years Later. I will be doing my best to catch it this weekend. Otherwise, it'll be a $5 Tuesday deal next week. So we'll see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Aloha, nerds, dorks, and weirdos of the movie variety.